Morning. Get going in a few minutes. About 5 minutes, we'll get going. Good morning. Do it. Check, check, check. What's up, everybody? We have the news coming out in 2 minutes. So I wanted to be here basically after that, and once things settle after the news. We've had some good action. Let's see what we get today. Afternoon, yeah. I should go back to saying what I used to say was good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I have to say all three, depending on where you live. I'm just getting this coffee in me. What do we got? It's 8:30. Let's see. This news situation. So I have a position on the euro dollar long. I talked about that yesterday, and I'll get into it more. I did put something pre-news, so hopefully it doesn't get all crazy on me. We're about to find out, I guess. Good morning, good morning. Good evening or good afternoon. We get to Forex Factory and check on the news situation, which is right now. Not that it really matters at this point. I'm just curious. I forgot what it was. Retail sales? I don't know. Yeah, I'm right. It was retail sales, yes. So that's the high impact news of today, besides a Fed chair speech in many hours from now, later on in the afternoon in New York. So nice usual situation where we can get this high impact news here now. And then we're kind of clear. There's industrial production, blah, 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 business investors, month to month. Medium light stuff later. This is obviously the focus right now today, news-wise, is right this very second. What happened? My stream stopped playing back. Oh, looks like we're okay. So we'll see the effects of the news. And then from there, see what we expect. Good morning, good morning. This euro dollar has the 618 fib level support being tested here. Resistance turn support, kind of confluence there. And that's a key point. If it breaks through that, very often we get overshoots. So we still have a bit of room for that overshoot that level and close up kind of reaction. But once you get past, this area, then this sort of model that we were talking about yesterday is not likely to happen. So this is key. If we're expecting an up move, that it bottoms out within a few pips here. Otherwise, it may continue down. Let's see what we get. But this is news right now. And when it comes to the news moves, it's not so much the initial move that's going to be giving you good information going forward, but what happens off of the initial move. The reaction to the prices that come in. So initially, we're seeing a down move. Now let's see if those lower prices get accepted or bought into and rejected, right? And then we could go from there. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Where am I? I'm clicking around like a madman. Here's the chat. Okay. So like I was saying, here I am. Looks like the better action on the charts have been post news after this time of day. So trying to adjust my schedule and be here for this. All right, we got our news candle, 5 minute. So we have our initial move down. Let's see what it wants to do. It's U.S. dollar strength pushing everything down initially. And we'll see how it reacts to these lower prices. Now, how about those yen pair downtrends? Where are we with that? While we kind of wait for the news stuff to settle and tell us. But we knew yesterday this was very bearish. There was no reason to buy on the Australian dollar pairs. That continued. Maybe you found your way in short. Maybe you didn't. That's all right. As long as you didn't buy, right? We ripped through some levels on there, huh? What's down here? Haven't been here in a while. AJ price area here. Geez, we got daily chart, weekly chart. Yeah, we haven't been here since January. Is it January? So, there is a very clean resistance turn support here. So, I just want to mark what we're going to be testing next. If we're obviously breaking that support that was here. And what's happening next? You got that, and then also this fib here. So if it continues down, which we'll look at, see what we expect. Too many lines. Then we'll see. That's a big old fib, but that's okay. I want to see where that 50 is. It's right there. I think we're on it already, right? Friggin' weekly chart. Yeah, we hit the 50 right there. So now that we hit that, there's a bit more, and we see the volume on it is pretty healthy, pretty high. So that is giving us potentially maybe an ABC retracement as far as plotting out the template. But I wouldn't want to be shorting now into this low. That's a little different from yesterday's stuff because of that buy activity and the fact that it's just that key level that gives a little increase in probability that you may pop up off that. But we'll look in there and see what's happening. We could end up with a double bottom or whatever may happen here on this yen pair. Downtrend situation. Okay, so we have this overshoot sort of territory. I call it a 618 overshoot because that's that 618 fib level, and it's like, you pop through and you get rejected. So we'll see if it's gonna start really sticking to that, right? There's the hit, the overshoot, and the rejection. Is that gonna stick? News was just 8 minutes ago, so we'll see if this candle closes up and we start to pull up, or we actually come back down, get to the support or even lower, and that says, okay, we're probably not bouncing then. We're not looking to go long. So this is key if this level holds or not. And again, this was the projection yesterday to get here and do this fifth wave up thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, and possibly 5. So that was our spot. So it's cool that you mark up, you plot out the template. It doesn't mean that's what you are certain the market will do, of course, but to see how it does fit into the template and when it doesn't, right? We're talking about simple stuff like 5-wave trending patterns or Wyckoff schematic or whatever, and see if it follows it or if it doesn't. And if it doesn't, that tells you something, as I always say, right? If we don't bounce here off this particular exact level and we end up going lower, that changes the whole thing. And says we're more likely to get to support, right? Just because of what is going to come out of this, right? This is the simple 5-wave pattern, nothing complicated at all. But that is key. And those that are, let's say, looking to go long, know that this would be the best price to get, right? Considering that. This was okay prices. These are okay prices. And then rejecting this area is really the lowest you want to get. Because, again, that's really where the buyers have to hold it, or else we lose the pattern. And so far we are getting that rejection. And I've always said, and again, this is another example, it's not the initial move on news, but the reaction. The initial move is down, but the reaction, we could be trending up all day. Or whatever it wants to do, we'll find out. So far we do have half of that down move initially in the first 5 minutes has been reversed. That's a good start on rejecting. Take it as it comes. Somebody asked in the Discord, where do I check the news result? forexfactory.com. I'm not into... what, you got an error at Forex Factory? I'm not a fundy person, news person. My trades are not affected by the news numbers. So for me, it's just a matter of knowing when the news is, which is very often this time of day. And of course, this is U.S. news and focusing on what the dollar is going to do as a reaction. But just going off the chart, I don't care if it's positive, negative, it really doesn't matter. It's whatever the chart is telling me. So, let's see. So far we are rejecting the initial down move. We have a candle closed as a reaction, closing up. This one completely reversed the initial down move. You'd have to take that as a sign of strength. Of course, volume is a bit exaggerated on news, but a widespread down candle with the next one closing up tells you, yeah, initially there were sellers, but there was some buying into it. also that large to match that. But that's just the initial reaction. It doesn't say, okay, go long now, right? But we'll start moving around to get more information. It's only 12, 13 minutes since the news. How's the stream quality? Good? All right. So I figured it's a good time to start just as the news is coming out, because we get to ease into it and just kind of watch it for the first few candles. I wouldn't jump on a trade on the news release. That's not how I trade. I know some people do. But that's kind of the one time that I'm not getting into a trade, right on the high impact news release. So it's good to show up at that time. Know you have a little cushion where you're not about to jump into anything and you could just take it in. So we'll let that tell us what it wants to do off of this down move. It's the reaction to the prices we're getting on the news, not the initial move. So we're seeing the reaction. Yen pairs are popping up. And again, that's not a surprise. As I just said, at this point, I wouldn't want to be aggressively shorting. We have a bit of an increased probability of a retracement at this point. And again, if we look at, let's say today on the pound yen, everything, all these yen pairs in a downtrend, the increase in activity off the lows. Yeah, we're in a strong downtrend. Yeah, there's still a lot of selling, but the highest activity of the day at this point, this was London Open, and this was after the open spike. So we have this stuff, highest volume of the day besides the spike, showing buying. And then again, here's our news. Initially dropped, right? And then here's our reaction. And all that activity leading to some higher prices. So far, maybe. It's just too soon to tell. We could get a reversal situation. Getting our 15-minute candle close. Just to take a look at that. Okay. I didn't send out an email today. Hopefully people know I'm here and show up. I'm just going to stream. So, but I do want to try to stick to this time of day when I started today. That's probably going to be the time. Again, yesterday kind of proved that again, where we saw some really slow activity, and then this time of day, those yen downtrends continued, and everything happened. So this is the time right now to make sure I'm here. U.S. session. So a lot of activity on the news, as expected. And we want to see the reaction. Initially selling on the news, or you could call it U.S. dollar strength. But then the reaction shows the opposite. Taking advantage of those lower prices initially. Is it going to continue down? And really just looking at the 5-minute. Right, here's our news candle. Are we going to get above that, or are we going to get below it? Simply put, that'll really help you see what's going on. So there's the news candle. If we get below it, accept this price area, get a candle close below, it's likely to continue down. Unless, of course, it pops up on strength again, right? But we're talking about closing down on some regular volume into new low ground here. So we're still kind of hanging out in the news candle area, at least on the dollar pairs. We haven't really moved off of that. Yen pairs, we got the pop-up. But basically, when it comes to getting into a trade after news, I'm just looking for normal action, right? Not newsy action. And then the next piece of information, as I'm saying here. Euro looks weak. A bit weaker than the others. But yeah, it's really all about the US dollar and yen right now. Everything moving up against the yen, dollar moving up against the yen. So it's dollar strength off of that news is what it's looking like. Well, we'll see. Yeah, okay, so we're getting into new low ground. Let's see what happens there. It's kind of important. Are all the dollar pairs doing that? No, just the euro dollar. As far as new low ground. A bit of a sell-off there of the euro itself. But again, this is key here. We'll see what happens. They're really pushing it as far as how low it can go and keep this pattern. Again, if we accept these lower prices, that tells us the pattern that have drawn there. It's not likely to happen. And I could be looking for short entries, right? Down to support. What's up? What's up? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. You get a drink here. I'll be right back. All right. Well, there it goes. Really pushing it. Let's see the reaction on these guys. Yeah, besides the euro, that's the thing. Besides the euro dollar, we're still on this news release candle price area. We haven't gone anywhere. There's been a bit of extra selling on the euro. That's more of a euro thing, it looks like. These guys just sitting there. Dollar CAD also really haven't gone anywhere since the news. It's like this is the one guy, which happened to be in an area that hopefully could have given a bounce and a rejection for a trade. But something's up with the euro. If we look at the euro pound, right? So we're just seeing some extra selling on the euro. The others are kind of inconclusive with the news move, right? It's just high volume leading to nothing so far. Mix of buying and selling, right? A lot of activity, but no price movement. So it's a mix of buying and selling in fairly even amounts. Let's see if we can pull away. We'll see what we can find today. There it goes. Now going forward, the 618 does act as a resistance. Man, that euro is really getting the sell-off. Anybody else? Australian dollar? Finally getting out of the news area. Candles. Jeez. Yep, that's done. No reason to draw that. It's no man's land here. You could look at your pivots, perhaps. But we don't have a really obvious level back here. Anything broke the fib. As far as where it's going, where it's testing. All right, so are we getting our conclusion? Extra selling on the euro, which sucks because this could have been decent setup here that we could have seen form. But the good part is we got our answer. So accepting these prices down here instead of doing the wave pattern that we've been talking about, that means we're now more likely to get to support, and I would be looking to sell once we can go back to the 5-minute. See some more regular activity volume-wise. Again, this is like very high volume newsy stuff that could spike around. We're getting there, back to normal. And as far as like entries we talked about yesterday, off of a 14 EMA test. I don't chase breakouts, so I'm not going to be shorting this now. Technically the worst price of the day to go short, technically speaking. But again, the good thing is we're getting our answer off of this as we're accepting lower prices, and that's pointing to where it's going. And then a scalp setup here would be good quality to go short if that forms. Now I call it a scalp setup just to so you know what kind of entry I mean, but it could be something that's held to support as far as a larger target, but we'll see if that even sets up. But as it is, if it's accepting these lower prices and we're chilling out on volume, obviously we're not getting a rejection here, and if we do end up going to that support, right, at some point we're going to be testing that 14 EMA. It's just how it works. Like a 90% chance before you get to the support that you're going to get a 14 EMA tests, or 2 or 3 in our type of setup that we have there. So, I'm not chasing it. We'll see if that happens. I don't chase the break. Meanwhile, that seems to maybe sort of just be that the euro is particularly weak. These guys still holding on versus the dollar, right? Haven't broken the low of the day here. Pound, not at all. Well, okay. Well, there's the news candle. So we haven't been able to get below that. So we have to say at the moment that if we were shorting this euro, like I was just talking about, it's really based on euro weakness, not so much the correlated bearish environment of a strong US dollar and selling against that. It's really, right, just the euro that says off the news move, yeah, we're going down. These other guys really haven't gone anywhere. But I will say if, we break the low of the day, obviously, as a reaction to the news here, then yeah. And we don't get any large strength issue there, then it's likely bearish going forward, and we have our result. Pound, again, we haven't actually cleared the news candle and gotten below it and accepted those prices and starting to look bearish. So we'll take it as it comes. It's really a weak euro situation more than a dollar-driven situation off of the news. Again, dollar CAD, still in the news area. So I'm not letting the euro dollar drop fool me into, oh, we're bearish now, right? It's really just the euro. Okay, just want to make that clear. Really just the euro that says we're moving away from the news release price area. Getting the action. Would like a straight answer from the rest of the pairs, euro dollar aside. Try to go to new low ground here after the news candle. But of course we have the low of the day support. So if we're saying, yeah, we're bearish off of the news, you got to get below this to convince me. So we get below that, we accept those prices, yeah. Well, we got to go somewhere eventually. Or maybe we don't. Sit in the news candle area all day on the pound, which is not likely. Now some music, Merle Doobie. I already have that. As I said, I'm going to try to stick to the schedule of starting this time of day, 30 minutes ago. I made it today. 3, 4 days a week, whatever it is, maybe 5. We'll see. Well, if the market only knows that the euro is weak right now, and it's likely going to that support, that might be what we have to work off of. I like U.S. dollar-driven moves and yen-driven moves Meaning if I'm shorting a dollar pair, that we have a bearish condition overall on the dollar pairs, rather than, well, the euro's just weak. They tend to be more reliable, cleaner, better setups with the correlation. So, if these are correlating, it's only because the US dollar is doing that to it. Same with the yen pairs. Whether it's a scalp or any sort of setup, being driven by the yen action itself, therefore having a confluence or a same bias, you could say, makes things better. But this is the kind of thing where this is really, again, just the euro. And that being the case, obviously, if I'm looking to short, the euro would be a good option. But it can come around to where these guys are starting to look bearish, are starting to confirm that the US dollar is pushing them down. And then going with the euro dollar setup from there, saying, okay, the US dollar is strong generally as a result of the news, pushing things down. And we have a weak euro on top of that, right? And that would be something to consider there. That would be good for the euro dollar short. Good combination. But again, this is an initial breakout of a area of information, fib area here. And don't chase the break. What's up? What's up? I figured there might be more people in here because of the time of day. But then again, I did not email my subscriber list, so it's not a controlled experiment. But we got plenty of time. Be hanging out for at least another hour. And I know that the U.S. session has been pretty active well into it, which is not always the case, but we seem to be there now. See yesterday, timing-wise. Yeah, London Open, we were dealing with this. I did get a short scalp in there. Yesterday I didn't have any news, but yeah, okay, yeah. Here was the same time of day we are now yesterday. I guess things picked up a little. It was a slow day. It was a Monday. So that's likely going to support more and more, likely, as we're accepting these lower prices. We didn't pop back up here. And for example, a break test continuation or break test of the 14 EMA type of thing might give a short entry. And here's the support to resistance now. So we have a general area in here that could pop up and give us our short and our waves down, maybe all the way to support. So that's how I deal with breakouts, break test continuation, or at some point pulling back, testing 14 EMA. Strong trends, right? As I say, as you probably noticed if you learn my material. Very simply, strong trends reject the 14 EMA, usually multiple times. So if you have a strong trending day, You're going to hit it, overshoot it a bit very often. I mean, we even have it here, just off hours during Asia session, just this EMA rejection stuff over and over again. Or it'll just go in a straight line. But that's not usually what happens. I don't bet on that. Otherwise, I would chase breakouts. I would just be getting short. But if this doesn't do this zigzagging sort of action, right, waves, and just drops in a straight line to support, that's there's maybe a 10% chance of that happening, right? Just dropping. 50 pips off of news, drop in a straight line without testing the 14 EMA or anything. Very unlikely. Otherwise, I would trade, say, okay, get in now. So when it feels like, oh, it's just going to go, right? You don't want to miss it. It's just going to go. That's really chasey. I don't do that. Rare behavior of the market if we're just going to drop like that. Of course, it happens, but trading expecting that is silly. You know how it is in this situation. If you did that, you get in. That's when you finally get your retracement. You go into drawdown. When you couldn't wait anymore and you start chasing it, right? Don't do that. In fact, if I wanted to have a little retracement, best thing is for some people to start going short right now. Because that's just how it is. The impatient ends up paying. What's up, chat? Talk to me. What months are the more critical ones for forex? Is it September, October? September, October, November. That's where stuff goes down, and generally in all markets, right? That late September, early October, that's when stuff happens. So, but yeah, decisions are made. So that run, that 3-month run, and then chill out for December. Maybe, maybe not. Obviously, the second half of December is chill. And also February, March, April. Those three also. I would probably pick February, March, April as the best months. But yeah, those are kind of the two chunks of three that are the best. September, October, November, February, March, April. Sometimes, of course, May and June are fine, but those are really the ideal months, it seems, right? John, how are you? Glad you're here. Yeah, I'm going to try to do it this time of day. Okay, so we got our answer. The other ones are now following this news reaction being lower prices. Finally got unstuck here off the news candle, and then we just 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 minutes couldn't get out of it to really see what the reaction was. So there we go. Lower close, lower close, lower close. So that is confirming the bearishness. And looking at the yen pairs, I mean, generally they're in a downtrend, which saw some strength come in. And really for a traditional setup, I would want to, like I was saying yesterday, pop up. Yeah, they're riding the 14 EMA in the 1 hour. Surprise, surprise. That one is. We can mark up some fib stuff here. It's just kind of gotten to the weeds after testing this for 2, 3, 4, 5, going on 6 hours. That's what I want to see. So if I was going to look to get into this downtrend at this point, I pop into this area. We can get a fake break over that swing point and see weakness into there for the move down. That is a possibility. So it's that kind of stuff on the yen pairs. We don't see a reason to be going long, but there is some support demand that showed up. And this just kind of generally speaking in this area. Actually, I'll mark it like a box. The fib zone would be higher. So as far as the immediate opportunities, there was a nice rejection there and a fake break. So in a downtrend, to look to sell into this area again is a possibility. If we see weakness, it acts right. But basically in this bearish environment, we don't have enough demand or reason to be going long, and we don't want to be going short, of course, down here. So not an option right now to jump in anything. But up moves and weakness, of course, you go with it. And if we get a down move in very large strength, highest volume in a few days kind of thing, then I would look to buy. So that's pretty straightforward. These guys finally confirming they want to be bearish. I'm not chasing the initial move. Maybe we do some waves down and see some weakness or scalp entry type of stuff. So yeah, it's a combination there with the euro dollar, that the euro is very weak and the dollar is strong off of the news. So I can't even get this pullback yet. It's just going. It'll happen, right? 90% chance we're not going to do this. Right? Agreed? I know like it feels like it, but there's a 94% chance it's not going to do that. It's going to pop up. Right? You know it. So don't feel bad about not being short. We'll get our pop-up eventually. This is kind of the spot right now, isn't it? As is the support term resistance, 14 EMA. Come on. It's this particularly weak euro. Let's see the euro versus the pound. It had its down move off of news, but it's nothing crazy. Okay. We guess we got that strong dollar kicking in now. But at least we have our answer on that. Been a short against the US dollar for sure. Again, I need at least a test of the 14 EMA in this breakout runaway situation to be able to get in it. Break test continuation patterns in combination with that, and that's the most aggressive that I'll get. Beyond that, it's just chasing at a bad price, right? Yes, yes, patience pays. Coffee is a good thing in life. Maybe you like tea. That's fine. No hate for the tea drinkers. Is it an American thing? We're obsessed with coffee. Or there are some countries that are, like Italy, I guess, right? Americans are obsessed with coffee. We're all on drugs. It was interesting. Do you know the history of coffee? I had time to just learn about anything. I think so. There's a correlation, according to this guy. What was he on, Joe Rogan or something? Seen this? As we're waiting for some sort of entry here, that coffee coincides with, historically throughout history, countries kicking into high gear and getting their shit together. As far as, work ethic and Innovation is directly tied to when they got coffee in that country. Yes. Makes sense. And then when employers recognized this, they started implementing the coffee break. Say, look how nice we are. Not just a break, a coffee break. So you could do that once every hour, once every 3 hours. Get that coffee into your workers, get them on drugs. Productivity goes up. Yeah, we don't like to say it, but it's a drug. It's a drug. Come on now. All right. Can we get a retracement? I'm talking about coffee. Can we get a bounce? I'm telling you, there's one guaranteed way that this is going to bounce. If I short now, because that's how it works. All right, so we know what we're looking for. Plenty of time. I'll keep an eye on the yens. Again, the up move and weakness would be nice to get in with this downtrend. But that's not the only opportunity. If we can just start moving in a non-rangy kind of way. Start trending somewhere. Even if it's up in a long scalp sort of quick thing. Counter trend. I don't care if it's a good quality, if it looks like it's going to keep going and going to some point. But if we're going sideways like this for many, many hours, there's just nothing that I want to do. This was trending down pretty decently. Again, that euro bit of weakness today. But off of this strong, busy area, I don't want to sell into this. And looking at the smaller retracements in the scalp entries, right? The news kind of messed all that up, and then we're here now going flat off of 3 bottoms. Not really trending down, is it? I'll likely get my chance on these guys. So as I said, trying to do this regularly at this time, 8:30 Eastern, New York time. And just give the real-time live analysis. Should be helpful. If I do it on a regular basis, should get a lot of people in here, right? Unless I suck. Guess I'll find out. Maybe the YouTube algorithm would be nice to me and suggest my live stream. I just don't do all the promotion stuff. I'm not going to ask you to follow me on freaking Instagram. Come on. I have an Instagram with 1 video. I'm not even in it. Twitter, I got kicked off Twitter. Because I said what I thought, which was apparently suspicious behavior. What was it? First, I got banned for hate speech, because you know me. It's hate speech, and then they changed the reason for my banning to suspicious behavior. Twitter. And they want my phone number in order to reactivate my account, which is a strange condition. You put me on some list, trying to figure out who I am or something. Yeah, they know who I am. But no thanks. So no Twitter, you know. Not doing a whole promotion thing. But it would be cool with more people here, so maybe I'll get a promotion guy. Any promotion guys out there? I think it'd just be fun. Do some YouTube ads here in my garage. What happened to Ty Lopez? Knowledge. Fancy cars. So looking to go short on the dollar pairs, but I don't chase price. See if we can at least get a test of some level here. Get some waves going. Yen pair's got to get a little more trendy. If I'm going to do anything, stuck sideways, nothing great. So we're looking for opportunities. Not much to say. What else is going on? As far as cryptos, holding some long positions. Not day trading it at the moment. Bit mixed here. We saw some weakness, some buying. Weakness. That's a mix of buying and selling. Might just kind of be ranging here for a bit. Certainly see the buying into these dips. The accumulation is there. But then also to see the selling activity pick up here. Kind of in balance at the moment. But again, we're talking about possibly another move up here. But considering that selling that we just saw, we might have to go a bit lower and maybe get into this rangy stuff here. As far as a day trade, besides my swing positions long that I have, I could see buying here. I could always set an alert, let me know. Especially a fake break pattern, which I like, which is what happened here. If you have this low, right, you got a fake break and an up move, and then you're going off of this low. We had our fake breakout and an up move. So again, the equivalent of that would be a fake breakout there, right? But generally in this area, as far as a day trade kind of thing, Looking to get a bounce off of that. If we get that strength, that type of rejection again. That's kind of an obvious one. Stan K. Sexy go on twice a week. What? She's famous and has followed. Really? I'm unaware. I just know her from just direct contact. I haven't seen any of that stuff. Needs meds to get over her. I need coffee, so I'm on drugs. Where? Famous how? Where? I had no idea. We had some interesting discussions, but I really didn't know. So has followers where? Is Coco a celebrity? I didn't know this. Got celebrity friends. Can we get a bounce? How do we make it bounce? The power of our mind. No. Telling you, somebody's got to go short, and then it'll bounce. The law of the impatient person losing. But yeah, Stan, where is she famous? Now, I'm very curious. Where are these followers? And how do you know where she is? I'm very confused by all this. Who is she? All right, it's happening. Maybe, maybe not. Give me the bounce. Give me something. Stan, you're not going to. Maybe he left. Not going to explain further. Man. That 10% chance, huh? That is just going to go in a straight line. How about that? So I don't know what to do with the Discord. Everybody's joining the Discord. Nobody's talking. I guess everybody's there for me to say something. I don't know. Make of it what you want. Yen pair's moving? Okay. So maybe correlating here. Strong US dollar, strong yen. Pushing everything down. Compared to each other. Had a bit more strength on the US dollar, but we could come right back down if they're going to be similarly strong and therefore compared to each other rangy while everything else trends, which is why I don't really trade UJ almost never. I am being patient. I am not chasing these down moves. Bit of strength showing up perhaps. People joining the Discord. Post some charts. If you've watched my videos, you get an idea how I trade. Post some charts. Make something of it. Maybe there are people there that are still really learning. I'm sure there's a mix of people, new and veterans. Get some help there. I don't know. I didn't make the Discord. So somebody made, like, you need a Discord here. All right, we're getting our bounce. Probably. Yen pairs coming right back off of some strength. Okay. Obviously, the dollar pairs are trendy. I'm sticking with that as far as trendy conditions and looking to get in on a small retracement. Yen pairs got to go somewhere first before I get into something. Assuming that might be a low in a retracement. At least, give me that. At least. Some strength coming in here. Okay, bit of buyers. I mean, if it just blows through that, that's... Oh, well. Not about to sell there. All right, we're hanging. So we know what we're looking for. Let things develop. I'll be updating. Okay, getting a bit of a bounce finally. Let's see what that leads to. Maybe a scalp entry on the dollar pairs. So what I'm looking for here, as we're finally getting a bit of a bounce, is first of all, test the 14 EMA, really properly test it, which we're just getting there on here. Here we didn't get there. That's got a quick rejection, barely got there. So let's see if we can test this a little better, a little higher. And with this bit of activity off the low on a few of them here, leading to a higher close here, definitely should be able to get a bit higher, unless these sellers are just going to be very aggressive and to the point where we have this, again, really just a dropping in a straight line and we can't even get the waves going. And that's less likely to happen. So therefore I wait. But the more correlated that situation is, where we get a nice 14 EMA test and situation there, like I talk about for an entry, the more that appears on multiple dollar pairs, the better. If it's really just one off doing it and the rest are not, they're doing something else, it's not very high quality. Not as good. Which really means that the US dollar is driving that retracement and then driving the continuation, and that's what's driving this whole situation anyway, so you're working off of the right stuff. All right, again, just waiting for a potential short scalp style entry on the dollar pairs. Yen pairs, kind of stuck and rangy. I'd be looking to maybe short it up, move on weakness because they're in that downtrend. Wouldn't want to sell down here. Or if it drops and has, climactic volume and strength, I could look to buy, retracement of the trend. But for the moment on the yen pairs, not in a great spot to do anything. Kind of stuck. So I'm working with what we got right now. That US dollar strength. See what we can get with that. Not dropping in a straight line. I told you. It's a good reminder. It's like you know it, but it doesn't hurt to say it and remember. You're not trying to get short here thinking that price is just going to go in a straight line. Expecting the market to do that is silly. 90% of the time, it does not do that. The strongest of trends almost every time will bounce off the 14 EMA repeatedly. If not the 50 on a further retracement. But even the strongest of trends almost always does that 14 EMA test throughout. And the reaction to that can give you confidence that it's going to continue off of that, depending on how it reacts, right? If we clear the 14 EMA and start moving up, then we really start reversing this down move and kind of get into the weeds there on a failed situation, and we would have to reconsider what may happen next. So it's kind of that important. The 14 EMA and the small fibs doing their thing if we're expecting this to be a strong down move with small waves, 5-minute waves. This, it's like, a really bad version of the scalp entry, which is not tradable right here. Right? We really barely got to the 14 EMA test. Even the support term resistance, we didn't quite get there. Right? It's premature to say, oh, we're here, let's get it. Right? Didn't really get to that stuff. And then to react to that with this candle already in the low area, very different from if we were able to move up and really test this properly and get an entry in this higher area. Let's say it's 76, and then the low is 65, and okay, there's your first scalp target. But obviously, price being at 70 and the low being at 65, you barely clear spread, and you get the support, which did show a bit of buying. So that's really an area where you want to be getting rid of risk and not needing this to go into new low ground in order for it to be a successful scalp. So I don't bet on this continuing, even, if it does, and of course often it does, you're going with a trend here. So if it does continue and do another leg down, that's nice, but being able to get in properly in this area, not down here, gives you that option of getting some profit, getting rid of risk if we do get a double bottom and a bounce, right? It's easier to get to the low than it is to get into new low ground. Certainly. So as a scalp, that makes sense. And then manage the trade at that point, right? Very high probability scalp situation when it's right. Mr. Stan, most. I was asking you earlier, Stan, where do I see Coco and her followers and how famous she is that I had no idea about? Where is that? What form of media are we speaking about? I'm intrigued. I'm not sure what you're referring to. Most. When you accidentally open up a program. Okay. Close that. Good. So it looked like we were maybe going to get that. Of course, we still might, but yeah, we came back down already. You know, what am I going to say? Shorting here? Nah, wasn't quite right. Again, this stuff is so dependable. I don't have to go anywhere to show you. Okay, 14 EMA, right? Access resistance, and then the 50 EMA. Anywhere you go, any strong move. As soon as you get out of a range, which we're not looking at, we're looking at a trend right now. Right. A lot of you know this, but for the newer people, right? Once you start getting to these trends, 14 EMA, you can overshoot a bit, and stop loss is not right there. You can get away with a bit of room, but that's just going to be everywhere on every trend, almost pretty much. Just riding the 14 EMA up here. But when they're really strong, I guess occasionally they're just not going to do it. The ranging conditions, the moving averages really become useless. And, structurally when you have a range going. So they're really for those test areas in trending environments. Here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So the chart kind of says, yeah, you want to be doing this when the conditions are right, when the conditions are trendy. I want to hit this button, but it's in the way. There we go. Okay. But yeah, the euro dollar hasn't even gotten there yet. Again, looking back, you can look back even more at what I'm talking about. Strong trends I reject, and then kind of get your eyes used to it, and then flip back now to what's going on. You say, okay, that is likely to happen. That'll be good if it happens. But this didn't quite get there, right? Again, this one didn't at all. Not yet. Maybe now. Again, here, we just barely got there. The next candle closing lower actually pulls down the moving average, and it makes it look lower than it really was kind of at the time, right? At the time, price is here, moving up and down, and that 14 EMA is up here. Then it closes down and gets pulled down here, so it kind of looks like, oh, it tested it, but really barely, right? You kind of want to pop through it, ideally, to go above it and come back below it is really good on entries. So, didn't get an entry yet. Hopefully this is helpful at least. I'm sure it is, right? And this stuff will stay up on YouTube. Welcome if you're new. Oh, we got some more viewers. Hello. I used to do this as a paid trading room, and so at this point I don't do that anymore. I just trade. So I figured I'll start streaming on YouTube. Maybe grow an audience, have some fun. Better than trading by myself. If you have any questions, comments, anything, let me know in the chat. Say hi. Where you from? I'm in New York. I'm used to starting at 3 a.m., but right now I'm going to try this 8:30 a.m. thing. Get on when the news is hitting. When you get the volatility, U.S. Open. And post news. There's been some good activity on the charts. So it's kind of like a regular sleep schedule. Wow, how rare for me. So we're seeing we can take advantage of this U.S. dollar strength, pushing everything down and get some sort of entry. Like I said, so far it really would have been chasing price, chasing the move. But maybe And most likely it can come around and give some sort of smaller, even smaller time frame retracement, some opportunity. It's not chasing the price. Hello. Pound USD, isn't there demand at lows? Some absorption and likely up move expected. How you separate the two? Let's see. Yeah, we certainly saw some demand there. Pound. Well, the pound has this if you're talking about this. But if it's going to be breaking through that right now on lower volume, then it's really okay. Whoever bought there, that's nice. The demand is gone and it's just floating through, going with this momentum further. But there was one, what was it, this one? That certainly showed a lot of volume there. But again, if we're going right, cutting right through it and the volume's back to medium, low, then those buyers came and went, right? And now we're going to find out, right? Is there buying again here? Probably not, it looks like. You even go to the 1 minute because we know how important that spot is right now. And it's just accepting it on some medium volume. It's not like a spike and a pop up yet. So it might just keep going there. But that is kind of proves the point why you want to be getting in on these higher points when things are right and you're coming off of that. Because we did have buy activity here once, and then now we have a bit. We stopped 4 minutes so far here on a bit of an increase. So that possible demand coming in again is obviously not where you want to be getting in short. There's a bit down there, but as far as your question, like separating the two, I have to be convinced to go counter trend. There can be, spikes of strength here and there in the 5 minute, like we just saw. But that alone is not going to have me go against the move. I still want to go with it. I really learned that over time. When I first started getting to the whole VSA thing a long time ago, I figured reversals were where it was at. High volume reversals, right? Counter trend off high volume. Of course, I still do that, and that can happen. But spikes on a 5 minute chart, just majority of the time, are not going to be able to really reverse that trend. It's going to be maybe accumulation over time at a certain level, or high volume on a 1 hour chart showing strength or weakness to reverse things. And again, a lot of times you'll see that demand show up and then it'll disappear at that price level. It was there for a bit and then it's gone. And it's not really saying, okay, there's accumulation, we're going to reverse kind of stuff. So that helps not worry about it, here. Yeah, there's demand, but if we're going to accept these lower prices, there's a bit of an increase, right? So you get a read on it. But that's very different from popping up off of this area like we did here. We're not able to do that. So not convincing that I would want to go counter trend like and that stuff, right? Hopefully that helps explain how I see it. When it comes to the stuff, VSA and the Wyckoff stuff, right, I just took, as I say, I took a bit from those two, plus technical analysis and the way moving averages, the fib area 50 to 618 as a zone. Kind of made my own thing that makes sense. There's a lot of chart time to figure this out. Trying everything. I really want to trade today, but that doesn't mean I'm going to take a bad quality trade. I could admit that I really want to take a trade. Doesn't mean I'm gonna. Whatever the chart says. Why? Because I'm here. It goes to the trouble of showing up, right? You want to make some money. You want to do something. That's fine. You can acknowledge that, whatever. As long as you don't click that button. Do whatever you want. Say whatever you want. Think whatever you want. As long as you're not clicking that sell button or buy button until the time is right. Can you explain the VSA candle spread and volume? Are you kind of like new to VSA? You're talking about like the basics of spread and volume and how they work. Talking about on a very basic level. And again, as I say, VSA as it is taught, from the source is different from what I'm doing. Obviously, the basic stuff is the same, but I'm not adopting that method exactly. I'm just taking some of the basic ideas of it. But if you're saying okay, basic, okay. So the spread is the size of the candle, wide spread, right? Just to really start from the basics. Wide spread and a small spread. And just look at your question again. Okay, and volume. So typically widespread, high volume stuff becomes a focus in your analysis because a lot of activity happened there. And also looking to the reaction of that high volume, which we waited for here in real time, saw the reaction. So these high volume, widespread things really just simply put are a marker of important information and seeing where that took place in your analysis and what the reaction to it was. So, and that happened to be news, which is really that approach as well, where the news comes out and the initial move is not what I'm going to base everything off of. It's the reaction, effort versus result. You may have heard, right? So, the market got busy. And then what happened, right? And then once we closed here into new low ground, the 5-minute chart quickly told us that this was a little too soon to say, okay, now we're looking to buy because we moved up. We were talking about getting out of the area of the candle itself, right? So here's the news candle. If we can get lower than this news candle, or we can get higher than the news candle, then we can really talk about, okay, we're moving somewhere off of that activity. Where is it, right? And so that finally happened here and here, which really is very weak because, also in VSA, very important, where the candle closes, and closing at your low, into new low ground, closing at the low, and then again closing into the low is very bearish, very weak. So to have that activity as a result, right, starts to make sense and gave us a direction now that we are looking to sell. Of course, I didn't jump in here because I don't chase breakouts, but that confirmed a bearish result right off of that. And the widespread and the high volume, again, just becomes this thing that tends to happen at important areas and turning points. This was an area we already talked about in advance. It happened to be on news, but maybe not so happened to be, That's kind of the story today with that. The high volume, widespread stuff happened on news. It's not always news, of course. And we have our clear reaction. Now, this is a really small time frame, the 5-minute. If we go to, let's say, what does the 1 hour look like? Yeah. So you have high volume leading to a lower close as a result. So just simply put, basic VSA stuff that's not going to get all complicated and hurt your brain. Tells you you're bearish. But yeah, if you're just getting into learning VSA, you can check out the the Trade Guider channel on YouTube, and then also how other people use it and how I do it, and not everybody's exactly the same, and just take it all in, and then from there see what you think you want to do. That would be my recommendation. Back in the day when I read Master of the Markets, I didn't quite get it all. And it may be a little bloated. That's what I'll say. What's up? What's up? Trying to go short. I want to trade, but I'm patient. Can we get a proper 14 EMA test for a short entry? Can we get on those dollar pairs? Dollar CAD? Take a CAD trade. Ugh, this is choppy sloppy. And on the yen pairs, where are we going? This was London Open. We're still in the same price area. This candle right here is London Open. And we tried to move up. Nothing happened. It's nice and bearish to the left, but I wouldn't want to sell down here. So we have this area, potentially weakness and short. That's generally the case with the yen pairs, looking to short on weakness, on up moves. That's a very basic VSA thing there. I did not invent that. And it's nice how that fits in with the waves and the fib retracements, areas, regular technical analysis that can give you that weakness and entry spot. 5-wave pattern, basic stuff. Combines well. Widespread high volume bullish reaction and narrow spread high volume. Could you highlight your interpretation? Well, if it's talked about widespread is one thing. The narrow spread, if it's high volume and a narrow spread, let's talk about the facts of what it is. So you have high volume on a candle that's small. So factually what happened in the market was there was a lot of activity, buying and selling. Both became very active to the point where they were practically equal. So price was not actually moved anywhere, right? Very much on all that activity, right? So if the market's really active, but the price just didn't move much, it has to be a large amount of buying and selling that increased. So it wasn't lopsided to push price somewhere, right? So that's like what happened. So looking again, what do you do in that case? You look at the result. If you, off of that candle, get two candles that close higher and higher, and the volume chills out, right? Then you say, okay, there's more buying than selling now going forward. Then you would see that as strength. I needed to translate Master of the Markets to Portuguese. My English is terrible. Oh, that might make it even more like wacky. Yeah, take it in. Why don't I use high-low close bars? Because you really actually get the same information from candles. I just happen to like the visual of candles. But you do get the close and the high and the low here. It's really the same information, isn't it? It'd be very VSA of me to do the, there we go. Same information. It gives you the open price, but we're assuming that the open price is pretty much the same as the previous close price anyway, right? There's really no gaps in the close price to the open price. So missing that information of the open, it's kind of obvious. It's the other candle's close before it, right? That's everything there. Very rare that that doesn't happen. Then you get the spread and the close, and that's really the same information besides the open, which is a given. But I do like the contrast of, having these pins, as they're called, or wicks, and the body to really highlight areas that were rejected or accepted, right? We're seeing here bigger bodies. It's just clear that lower prices are not giving a bounce, giving a rejection. It's a little more obvious on the eye, right? The higher prices were rejecting down, and so it's still very bearish behavior. It's kind of easier to see, I think. And here you see these rejections initially in this price area that are not taking place now. So we're still staying very bearish. I think it's a little easier to see. All right, here we go. So put that on and go, welcome to this very special webinar. All right. So again, we kind of have this rare situation where this down move, which is expected, is just going a little too aggressively for me to get in. If I miss it, so be it. I want a proper entry. Got it here. Thanks for the reply. Very good. No problem. All right, so I'm being patient. I explained what I'm looking for. Any sort of up move on these dollar pairs. See the reaction, see if I get a short entry. In my personal opinion, shorting after this news was a little too assuming and aggressive for me, so I'm not in it. That's the dollar pairs. And again, the yen pairs are just kind of stuck. I'd be looking to short up move on that, as I was saying. Or if it starts to trend in some direction, look for these type of entries. So we'll take what it gives. Chill out and wait for some sort of thing to develop here. All right. Checking in. It wants to go in a straight line. Man. I'm going to be patient. Not much to say at the moment. We had some good stuff that we covered so far. This video will be up on the channel. Right now, not much to say, so chill out. Know what we're looking for. All right, just checking in. Obviously, no setup. Boo. Maybe you're already short. Congratulations. Whoa, whoa. But I have not found a satisfactory entry for myself to get short on the dollar pairs. Yen pairs still stuck. Need something to happen. This might be coming to support here. Not exactly trendy where I want to jump in that. No. Just no. At least we know the US dollar's strong. Nothing seems to be stopping that. Off the news. But there's nothing else really of interest. So, waiting on that, see if we get an opportunity. Yes, question. So what do I think of the demand forming on the pound yen? This bit of stuff. Doesn't seem that significant. If you're saying this, yeah. This was the news, which had initially its bullish reaction and then completely went nowhere. We're back to where we started. We went up, we went down, and we came back exactly on the news release price again. So we really don't have a clear result off of that. This bit of demand is not really significant volume. Maybe there's a bit more buying than selling in this general area, but it's not that significant. I wouldn't be buying in this situation at the moment. Considering the strong downtrend, I would want to be more convinced to go counter trend, so it's not that significant to me. Which then makes you think, well, okay, we want to be staying with that trend and looking for a weakness on an up move, knowing that really there's nothing climactic here. It's a bit of demand, which is fine in a downtrend. It'll give you a retracement to short, hopefully on weakness on an up move. But, if we were really standing out, especially on a 1 hour chart, on some high volume, I mean, it's if you look where it is, it's actually an up move, the highest volume so far, leading to a lower close. But yeah, maybe it's a bit of demand, which is good. You want that bit so we can get the retracement short. Speaking of not being able to get a retracement to short. Story today. Now the 14 EMA is pulled all the way down here, right? Because we went sideways for a while. At a low price, it got pulled down. So, it's obviously terrible for a short scalp entry. Really no wave going on here. Which is fine. There could be an up move where you have this support resistance thing, maybe a pop there with the 50 EMA meets up and you get weakness after not much demand here, which is certainly the case. But still very bearish. But yeah, selling this low is not what I do. But as I say, do whatever you're comfortable with. Maybe the information I'm giving helps. Very welcome. At least what we were able to know so far to help trading decisions, or maybe help not get into a trade or whatever it is, was seeing that after the news, we got the confirmation that we are, I'm pointing to the areas that say that we are bearish. It's, really going flat, and then you get the news, and then we get that really confirmation that we're bearish. Just haven't found a short entry, but so far that has been correct. I mean, there's the idea of simply getting into a trade because you've had your news move and you've had your result, your outcome, your direction, and simply getting into a trade because of that. I wouldn't say that that's wrong or crazy. I didn't do it, but we were saying in real time, okay, we have our result. And again, basically it's looking at the news candle, and then where can we go after that? What's the result? And 5, 10, 15, 20, it takes a little while in this case, and then we get our answer here. Lower closes, lower, lower, lower. And from there, we're just slowly but surely, this one a little fast. Again, here's really says it. Okay, we have our result. Bearish. But entry-wise at that point, not something I usually do. Maybe something to consider. Especially since I'm getting on at that time where there's usually news and the activity at that time. Maybe consider once the news move has resolved itself, given a direction to put a position on. It's logical. But obviously I'm looking for my regular entry patterns and stuff, so I didn't do that. Just going to go and go, huh? Come on. That as a 14 EMA test, as a pullback, as a wave up, obviously not. It's tough. Tough to look at. I'd rather look at the yens. All right. Chill out. Wait. No matter what, I stick to my rules of engagement. So be it. All right. So obviously we're seeing this extreme bearishness in the dollar pairs. It's really the U.S. dollar strength off of the news. We were able to identify that as we kind of click through again. At this point in time, fortunately, I did not find an entry, but at least hopefully that's helpful. Again, at this point in time, we identified we are bearish after ranging and really having to wait for the news. But I am still looking for that opportunity there to get short. No reason to buy whatsoever on the dollar pairs there. As far as the yens, they're in their strong downtrend, but they are going really sideways since London Open. Haven't been able to go anywhere. We're kind of just hanging out in the middle of this range. But there could be an opportunity to buy off support if there's very high demand coming in. Maybe a fake break pattern here. We get a retracement on that trend, counter trend situation. If there is high volume demand, right, on an attempt to move down. Or, of course, simply it's got to go up or down. If it moves up, of course, still looking for weakness and get short. Doesn't have to be a big move. 14 EMA on a 1 hour chart is nice. Happens very often. Could be another one of those even. And this area generally, since it's gone a bit sideways here, is showing a supply and weakness, and that could be a higher area to get in. So those are the options with the yen pairs. Right? Same here. This would be definitely a nice area to short. The weakness comes in over these tops that were already rejected, and you're going with this trend. So there's a bit of activity down here. Let's see where it leads. So far, nowhere. What happens at support? Want to scalp it down to support? It's so low already. That's the problem. And this guy, it's like, okay, maybe, but it can't even get on the other side of the 14 EMA. 25 minutes it's been trying. Where's the sellers? To do that, to sell right into this low demand, low price demand area. Actually, not a ton of volume there. It's a mediocre scalp, as I say here, if this is able to close down. How's your spread on pound yen? Actually, that's a pretty big move to support. But the as far as a scalp, sizable. But you got this really, this target area for a scalp. It's not the worst thing in the world. I'm not calling trades though. Let's see, where this 5 minute closes and sort of get a read on the probability. Yeah, it finally closed below the 14, which is in a more trendy environment. Again, we're kind of rangy. But we do have the most recently some lower lows, a lower low. But really rangy here. That would be a confirmation is short. Just beginning as it closed below the 14. If it really starts to pull away from the 14, and again, it's very likely to get here, and that's the scalp. If it continues, that's nice too. Manage the trade. But as I say, really ideally you don't want to hang out here for too long. You just kind of want to do your wave, get up here, get a few candles with the pattern. Morning star, evening star. Can be very efficient. But here we kind of got stuck. This is barely doing anything. It's not like, we're talking about scalps where you really want some flow action going on. Avoid drawdown and you expecting things to go. Not so much the case. Not the greatest here. As far as looking for something, keeping my standards, no. See, it's like, again, just barely, when price goes lower after, it kind of pulls it down and makes it look better than it did at the time. But there's like no opportunity. There's your 14 EMA test. Like, barely got there. And then this one was so quick. It's just a particularly, very, very weak situation. You hear the sirens? Probably not. I have a noise gate on. Very New York City. I'm not in the city, though. No. There's just no momentum. There's nothing going on. Well, we did 2 hours. Try to at least do that. I think I'll hang out a bit longer. Hopefully something will happen with the dollar pairs for an entry. Something. Okay. Again, at least this is hopefully helpful. You learning and or getting some bearings on what the heck you're doing. All right, hang out, see what develops. All right. I think I'll end this session. Getting used to this new schedule. But I'll be around. Maybe pop in the Discord. So again, just to summarize again what I'm looking for. We might be getting it in the next 30 minutes or so. Pop up and get the entry off the 14 EMA test properly. Again, the end pairs I explained. Downtrend, I would buy off climactic strength off a down move, or simply just lack of any large strength, which is the case, and looking for up move and weakness to get into these downtrends. On the end pairs, have some areas marked, especially fake breaks. We went over that. Okay. So that's my plan. And no reason to buy the dollar pairs. Likely not happening today at all. So looking for that short entry. All right, guys. Well, I didn't get a trade, but that's how it goes. Then the day's not over. But again, hopefully it's educational, helpful, makes things a little better. Hang out. And I'll try to make it tomorrow as well. 8:30 New York. All right, guys. See you soon. Is there a version of Pete Faders in crypto? A version of Pete Faders? I trade crypto, yes. Right now, I'm not day trading it. I do sometimes. Depends on what I'm holding as a swing position. Depends on the conditions, whatever. But at the moment, I'm holding some long positions in many various cryptos. Talk about entries next time? Sure. Yeah, anything you guys want to ask during the session, definitely. All right, cool. Till next time.